This summer, after Meat passed away, we felt like we needed a change of pace. So we headed to Europe for 5 weeks. In the next 6 videos, we're going to take you along as we explore Frankfurt, Germany, Vilnius, Lithuania, Riga, Latvia, Tallinn, Estonia, Stockholm, Sweden, and Vienna, Austria, before heading back to Mexico City and continuing on our Mexican adventures. We hope that you enjoy this holiday break from our regular programming. Well, today is actually our second full day here in Vilnius. When we first arrived, we checked into our Airbnb, which is quite an interesting Airbnb, but very nice on the inside. We then headed straight to the local market, where there were a ton of stalls selling like different cured meats. One of the ladies called us over. She was super friendly, but she did not speak any English. She let us try a whole bunch of different meats, and we got a whole bag of 4 different kinds for just 12 euros. Then we headed into a little coffee roastery. We got a 1/4 kilo of coffee for 8 euros. They did grind it for us right there, but that's usually what we pay for a whole kilo in Mexico. Finally, we headed over to a creamery where the lady sold us a liter of milk to go with our coffee, a jar of ghee, and let us try a bunch of cheeses. We picked 4 different varieties, and the total for all of that was 21 euros. She did speak some English and seemed to really enjoy practicing with us. It was fun. After that, we headed outside the market, where we got 10 eggs for 3.5 euro, and then some raspberries and some tomatoes for just 4 euros. So our experience at the market was really nice. We stopped by a little wine store, picked up a bottle of wine, stopped by the corner store and got some dark chocolate as well as some water before heading home, and then really enjoyed our lovely cheese plate with some wine to celebrate the end of the day. So today, our first stop is the train station, where we are going to try to get some tickets to do a couple little day trips.
So one cool thing we just found in front of the train station is this thing called Portal. It's actually a live feed from Lublin, Poland. Kind of interesting, so people can actually interact on both sides. So our mission was almost successful.
We were able to get round-trip train tickets to Kaunas for a day trip, as well as train tickets onto our next destination. And then we stopped at the bus station behind us, and we got a bus ticket tomorrow to go to Trakai.
But Georgia would let me buy the most amazing sunglasses I've ever seen.
They were really, really amazing.
Mm-hmm. So after walking through the Gate of Dawn, which was built in the 1500s, and the only original gate left into the old town, we encountered a bunch of churches.
Basically, there are quite a few different religions practiced here. We did pass a synagogue outside the gates, and then once we got in the gates, we've seen Catholic churches as well as Orthodox churches, and apparently they're also practicing Lutherans here. The Catholic churches, just as in Mexico, you can film and take photos in, but the Orthodox churches you can't. They were just wrapping up service in one of them, and it was so different.
Yeah.
There was a bunch of chanting. There was like a smoky haze in the air from all of the incense that you could smell.
And there weren't like chairs.
Yeah, there were no
pillars.
benches. There was nowhere for anybody to sit. And then all the women like had their head covered in little wraps and had like long skirts. So just different from what we've seen before. Pretty interesting.
So So we just finished up lunch. The beer sampler was really good, and the kvass drink was actually kind of unique.
The flavor was so different that you were like, oh, this is weird. Wait, do I like it? Do I not like it? I think in the end, we decided that we liked it. For appetizers, we got both the meat-filled pastry-style dumpling, and then we got the potato dumpling, which was also stuffed with meat. I thought the potato dumpling was absolutely delicious. David actually preferred the dumpling that was made with wheat dough, but we both agreed that the baked pork belly with the horseradish sauce was delicious. Fantastic. It was super, super delicious. And then we ended the meal with a 6-shot sampler of different local liqueurs. The mead was really good. There were some very kind of medicinal tasting ones. It was really, really unique. But now we're going to continue checking out the old town of Vilnius. All right, well, today has been a very warm day here in Vilnius. The high was actually 88 degrees, so I think we might have brought some of the Mexican heat with us because the rest of the week looks like the high is like 22 Celsius, which is like 70, 72 degrees. So it's going to cool off a lot, but we saw a ton of cool churches. We even got to go into an Orthodox church that let us do a little recording. And now we have in front of us, so this is the traditional fry bread.
And then we got 2 dark beers.
And you can see the view from this place is really, really nice.
So we made it back to the bus station this morning to catch our bus to Trakai.
There's multiple buses going very often to Trakai, so it's pretty easy to grab one. We don't have a return ticket because we figured we would just come back when we wanted to rather than having either kill time or rush.
So after a quick 30-minute bus ride, we have now arrived in Trakai.
The train station's actually further from the castle than the bus station, so that's just something to know. But the bus station is a little over 2 kilometers away from the castle. So we have stopped for brunch, and we have the pastries. As you can see, they kind of look like empanada or a pasty. This one is beef. This one is a mix of ham and cheese and chicken with mushrooms. And then this one is mutton. And then we got a couple of sparkling waters. They are piping hot.
So we just finished up our brunch pasties.
They were very good. The outside is not so much a pastry. It's not like that kind of like flaky croissant style dough. It's more of a crumbly like pie crust type dough. They were really good. They could have used maybe a little bit more filling, but they were tasty.
They were molten.
Yes, they're molten hot when they came out. They were definitely fresh. But maybe you can see behind us, that is Trakai Castle. So we are going to go ahead and cross a couple bridges and see
what there is to see.
Yep.
So we were standing here at Trakai Castle. It was 12 euros per person and then €1.50 to record inside.
And they do accept both cash and card.
So we just finished up our visit here at Trakai Castle. It was actually started to be built in 1409.
Basically, it fell into complete disrepair, and like the local villagers and stuff actually came and took stones and bricks to actually build their houses. So in the 1950s and 1960s, they completely rebuilt the castle. Luckily, there were some old paintings and things that they were able to reference to kind of bring it back to what it originally was. But touring around here was really cool. It kind of felt like being on the Game of Thrones set or something like that. The building behind me had some kind of random seeming artifacts. There was some ivory, some like artistic beadwork, which kind of reminded us of some of the beadwork that we saw in Mexico. There was also glass as well as some porcelain items. But in the main kind of castle tower part, they had more things like armor and coins and things that were more medieval or relevant to the
Weapons
castle.
And that kind of thing.
Yeah, they even had some of the furniture that would have been in the castle at the time. So really, really neat. I think it took us about an hour and a half to tour the whole thing. But I haven't been to a castle quite like this. We did some in Ireland, but most of them had not been reconstructed at all. They're mostly kind of empty. So, after touring the castle, we decided to stop at this little pizza place, and David got a dark beer. We, of course, got the fried bread with garlic cheese, and then I got a cider. And you can see here, we're right on the lake, and the view of the castle is great. Well, last you saw us, we were having drinks in front of Trakai Castle. We then walked back to the bus station, and just as we arrived, a bus was getting ready to leave for Vilnius. And that's how it works here. If there's space on the bus, you can get on the bus and pay the driver. You don't necessarily have to have a ticket ahead of time. We went back to our Airbnb, and now we have come out for dinner, and we were going to introduce the restaurant outside, except we got stuck in a downpour, so I may look a little bit like a drowned rat. But right now, I am enjoying a very nice cider, and then David has in front of him a darker amber beer, and we are waiting on our starter, which is a meat-filled potato pancake. The gigantic potato pancake has showed up, and my hand for size there, you can see this thing is huge.
So we just finished up our dinner, and the potato pancake stuffed with meat was very delicious.
Yeah, that was maybe my favorite potato dish I've had so far, which says a lot because everything in Lithuania is a potato dish. I got the duck, which was okay. I think it was like a wild duck. It had a much gamier taste than what I'm used to, so I wasn't a huge fan. But what did you get?
I got the pork fillet, which was absolutely delicious.
Yeah, it was fantastic. And of course it came with potatoes, and it came with some really, really good dill pickles that were really yummy. And then my cider was amazing. It's so good. In fact, I got a second one. David got a second beer as well. And even after getting sparkling water and 2 ciders, 2 beers, an appetizer, 2 entrees, after tip, we were still only at 59 euros. So I can say with certainty now that Lithuania is definitely cheaper than Mexico. It's not close.
This morning we made our way back to the train station to take the 9:10 train to Kaunas.
We bought the tickets the other day, so we do have a return on this one because with the train tickets, I heard it's always best to buy them ahead of time, where with the bus you can kind of take the chance of trying to get on when you're ready to return. So we're gonna go try to find our platform.
So we just reached Kaunas after about an hour and 15 minutes on the train.
It is a balmy 62 degrees right now. It is a little bit rainy, it is a little bit windy, but we can see that the sun is trying to poke out, so hopefully it will warm up soon.
So we just finished our walk through the park.
In the corners of this park, they have a Christian church, an Orthodox church, as well as the mosque that is behind us here. They were all closed, but they were beautiful nonetheless.
After seeing so many churches, it was finally time to get some food, and Georgia found a very interestingly themed restaurant for us to try. So Baking Man had some seriously amazing burgers.
Yeah, the patties were very steaky kind of tasting. The cheese was really rich. The pickles were great. The brioche bun was nice. The fries were perfect. So we thought that the funicular was not running because there was no one here. There's nobody at the ticket counter. There's nobody on the thing. But then I walked by the cart and it said doors opening. And the door opened, so we got on, and then a little bit later, it said doors closing, and now it's just going on its own. It's a little creepy. For a minute we thought maybe we're trapped, maybe this is a horror movie. You can see the other one is coming back down the hill all on its own just because we got on this one.
When we got to the top, there was a ticket office, and a guy collected our fare. The reason we took the funicular up was to get to the roof of this church for some great views of the city.
Well, we've made it up to the terrace level of the Christ the Redeemer Church.
And it's well worth it. You can see everything in 360 views here.
Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful today. It is particularly windy. We're kind of like hiding in a corner where we have some shelter from the wind, but it is really, really beautiful.
After checking out what we think is the most beautiful church in Lithuania, we headed on to the town square.
So after visiting a ton of churches, we decided to stop and get a well-deserved drink.
We stopped at Seoul. They had a lot of different bars around the main square with outdoor seating, and I ended up getting a purple tonic, which was a gin and tonic made with a bunch of local berries.
And I got a dark beer.
Again.
Yeah.
The beer here is really good. A lot of it is imported from Belgium, and some of it is local, but it is super high quality and very delicious. Behind us now is the Kaunas Castle, and we're going to go check it out.
At this point, we had walked over 20,000 steps, or nearly 12 miles according to our fitness trackers. And since we had just seen Trakai Castle the day before, we skipped touring this one and just enjoyed the views from the outside.
Well, we definitely enjoyed our day in Kaunas.
It's definitely worth the, hour, 15-minute train ride here. And we are currently back at the train station, and our train leaves in about 30 minutes. So this morning we have come to Loki's, which is a Lithuanian restaurant here that specializes in game meats. Since this area is surrounded by very thick forest back in the day, they basically only ate game meats. They did not have any farming for livestock. Here in front of me is a venison tartare, and then I got the local Lithuanian porter beer. David got the brown ale, and you can see we're sitting outside in their lovely little courtyard. So, have to report, the venison tartare was fantastic. We both do enjoy beef tartare, but we liked the venison even better. And now in front of us, David has the boar roast with these cute little, I think, fried mushrooms. And then I actually have beaver stew. I think in all of our travels, we have not seen beaver available on a menu before, so of course we had to order it. So that makes 3 different types of meat in one meal.
Loki's was definitely the most expensive restaurant we've been to, but it was definitely worth the price.
Yeah, we really enjoyed our lunch, and now we are headed across the bridge behind us into the self-declared country of Užupis. It is a small neighborhood here in Vilnius that apparently at one point was pretty dilapidated and had mostly been abandoned, and so a bunch of artists moved in and they declared themselves an independent territory. They even spent a couple hours writing up a constitution, which is now posted on a wall somewhere in the city in a bunch of different languages. So we are going to go check it out. Well, we have found the Constitution of Užupis, and they have it written in a ton of different languages, including English, but also including Burmese, which we thought was kind of interesting. The Constitution has some very interesting rules in it. One is that everyone has the right to be unique, and no one has the right to violence. But some of the more interesting ones are a dog has a right to be the dog, and a cat is not obliged to love its owner, but it must help in times of need. So definitely written by some very unique individuals. We are going to continue to walk around a little bit and explore, but the dark clouds are rolling in. You can probably tell my hair is quite windblown at this point, and I think it's going to downpour soon. At one of our favorite little bar/restaurants here in Vilnius, and one of the reasons it's our favorite is because admittedly it is just 30 steps from our Airbnb, but the food here is really good and the prices are super reasonable. In front of me here I have some of the meat-filled pancakes. You can see that they are stuffed with meat and then topped with dill and served with sour cream. And then David has the ceppeline, which are big potato dumplings that are topped with pork cracklings, served with sour cream, and are also filled with meat. And we also have a couple of half liters each of craft beers. They actually have 4 different dark beers on tap here, and all of them are just €4 for half a liter.
This morning, we made our way to the Vilnius Castle Tower. So the way up wasn't too bad, and the views up here are spectacular, but I think we're getting ready to get some better views from the tower behind us.
Yeah, from here you can actually see the Three Crosses monument, which you can go up to as well. We're not going to because we've already enjoyed the view from this perspective, but yep, into the tower.
So it was 16 euros for us to both come up to the top and go through the museum below.
The museum is very small, and the view that you get up here is very similar to the view you can get for free from the outside of the tower. So if money's an issue, I would maybe skip this one.
So we just finished up our lunch, and the cheese sticks were amazing.
Yeah, they were like a rye bread that had mozzarella inside and then deep fried. Super delicious. I got the cold beetroot soup, which is a shockingly bright pink. And I wasn't sure I was going to like it because I don't usually love beets. But the predominant flavor was cucumber and dill.
I got the pork neck steak, which had some pickled vegetables along with it. It seemed like a pork chop pretty much, a little chewier, but very flavorful.
So we really enjoyed that restaurant, very reasonable. And it had our new favorite beer, the Grimbergen beer, which is a lovely dark beer, and it's Belgian. And it seems to be widely available, and it comes in a really cool, like, glass when you order it, too, every time. So now I think we're headed on to walk through a park and then to a museum.
So we just finished up touring the Occupation Museum.
Lithuania, for the longest time, would get a small taste of freedom before Germany or the USSR would take it over again and again. And then finally, from the early 1950s all the way until 1991, they were part of the USSR. The bottom floor is the KGB prison that has information on the way that they kept prisoners and tortured people and interrogated people. And then the two upper floors are more on that story of Lithuania's kind of back and forth
Occupations.
Yeah, you see flags everywhere, both for their country and then in support of Ukraine as well. And especially given their history, you really understand why they feel so deeply for the people of Ukraine right now. So So the last traditional Lithuanian dish we have to try is this right here, which is basically like a very large donut hole. So it is made with a darker, tougher bread dough, and it is supposed to be filled with cheese curd as well as bilberry jam. We also got a more modern take on it here, which is the creme brulee, and you can hear it's very crispy. And then there is the custard filling there. All right, so this was our Airbnb for the past week in Vilnius. You can see you come into this little alleyway, which isn't particularly welcoming. And then you come out into this courtyard, which obviously has some very old buildings. I think it's kind of cool. I've enjoyed staying here. But you can see there on the building ahead, if you look, there's a date on it, and it says it was built in 1882. So this was our little unit here. So you came in this door and into this entryway, which again, not particularly welcoming. And then this is the Airbnb. So you can see it's quite bright and white. Little kitchen here. This is actually the refrigerator. This is a clothing washer, and then this is a dishwasher. And then if you turn at the front door, at the other side is the bathroom. You can see you have a nice big shower, nice sink. And then when you come in here, this is the main room. We've got a little dining room set up here, our desk. Got our TV. That's kind of where I put all my makeup stuff. This is a little closet. We did have some hangers there. A floor fan, and then the bed. It says it's a double, but I would describe it as a queen. Mexican double beds are tiny compared to that. And then there's our couch with all of our stuff on it. But overall, we really liked the place. I think it was decorated well, and those thick walls kept us very cool.
So we're not in Vilnius anymore.
This morning, we took a 3-hour train from the Vilnius train station to Šiauliai. I do believe that is how it is pronounced, although it is definitely not the way it is spelled. We got a Bolt from the train station here to our hotel. We dropped off our stuff, and then we walked to this restaurant here behind us because we are absolutely starving. It is a little after 1:30, and we haven't had anything to eat, so we're gonna head in.
So it was absolutely delicious. And of course, we started with the dark beers and the fried bread with the cheese and garlic.
Yeah, it is sad to know that we may not be able to have that fried bread too many more times. After that, I got the ceppaline with meat, which as always was really good. And
I got the pork belly.
Which they do this like baked bacon where it's nice and crispy on the outside. It's kind of thick sliced, and it comes with horseradish to kind of cut through the fattiness. And I think now we're going to get a Bolt over to the Hill of Crosses, which is the main thing to see here in Šiauliai.
Well, we've arrived at the Hill of Crosses.
Just make sure if you get a Bolt here that you have your Bolt driver drop you off at the information booth and not at the actual hill if you want to buy a cross.
Otherwise, you're going to walk away.
Yeah, so we had to walk back to the information center. We got our cross, and this was €10, and we put Cookie and Meep's names and dates of life on the cross, and we're going to go find a great place to put this cross in remembrance of them.
So we read online that there's supposed to be over 200,000 crosses here. I think there's probably double that at least.
Yeah, there are like stacks and stacks of tiny little crosses. There's also a ton of rosary beads as well. And I had read online that this hill kind of started as an act of defiance. Apparently when the USSR kind of took over here, they didn't allow religion. And so putting these crosses up on this hill was kind of an act of rebellion, a quiet act of rebellion. And now people come and put crosses here to mark the birth or a death or just a special event or just to pray, to, you know, ask for healing or whatever. So this has kind of become a pilgrimage spot for Catholics in the Baltic area. But it is really impressive to be here in person. The reason that they don't know exactly how many crosses are here is because periodically there are fires that wipe out huge sections of crosses.
And of course, people are adding crosses every single day. So after the hill crosses, we grabbed a bolt directly to the iron fox statue.
It is the largest animal sculpture in Lithuania. It's huge and it's really cool. It's set right on a lake where there were a ton of ducks and there were a bunch of families. They had a bunch of jungle gym equipment. Everybody was enjoying the day. And that's one thing I really, really like about Lithuania. I think because it is so cold and so dark most of the year. Man, when it's summer and it's pretty out, everyone is outside. They're outside playing, they're outside having drinks, they eat outside, they're going on long walks. You just see everybody out having a good time, and it's a really good vibe.
So it looks like their cathedral is open, so we're gonna go in and check it out.
And after that, maybe we'll stop and get a drink. After checking out the main cathedral and walking down the very nice wide pedestrian street, we have stopped for some drinks. So I have a rosé cider, which they served with mint and blueberries, very pretty. And then David got the Baltic porter. Thanks for watching, and if you haven't already, check out last week's video where we started our Euro trip in Frankfurt, Germany.